Recording in progress. And then live to Facebook, which usually takes a second. All right, David had a request, Small Wonder. She's a small wonder. I don't have anything after that. I don't remember the rest of it. She's a small wonder, and I don't know. She's a Honda Civic. All right, the bar is across. We are live. George, just unmute yourself.
Good evening, everybody. This is George Wallace. We're with as one of the co-hosts at Great Weather for Media. The 10-minute feature this month, being the month of June, we're featuring individuals who contributed to this collection, this anthology, New York City from the Inside. Why am I doing that? I don't know. It's kind of like getting flashing in. Our fourth of five individuals who will be reading for us. In this case, it's Simon Pettet, a great old friend. We go back decades, really, in the Lower East Side since 1977. He's a bona fide, registered legacy of the New York City School of Poetry. It's known throughout the world. Originally from the United Kingdom, has the exact same accent, mysteriously, as Pete Darrow. Please welcome to our 10-minute feature, Simon Pettet.
Unmute yourself, Simon.
Hi, guys. Hello. Thank you, George. Thank you, everybody, for being here, listening. I did indeed come to New York in 1977 and have lived there ever since. And so I think New York from the inside is very much a register for me, for sure. I'm going to read some very early poems that I wrote in those sort of early years, and then I'm going to read a couple of pieces from a little later on, and that'll be it, probably, I guess. So the New York I'm evoking when I first arrived is a very different New York we experience now. I lived on the Lower East Side. I still live on the Lower East Side, tenement. 4 the clock, the city bears the dread of furious winter, like a scar is opened up and proudly flies it, teeming garbage cans, the soot-encrusted magazines which blow across the streets, wrap into hollows in our faces. We look up, and several stories spy a man intent on what we cannot see. A child, perhaps? A woman washing windows? 4 the clock, the city bears the dread of furious winter, like a scar is opened up and proudly flies it, teeming garbage cans, the soot-encrusted magazines which blow into our faces. We look up, and several stories spy a man intent on what we cannot see. A woman washing windows? The poem that I'll read one more poem before I do that. The poem that George has in the book is another one from around about that time. Here's a poem called Poem. Of narrow streets and tall commanding buildings should I try that one again. Oh, of narrow streets and tall commanding buildings, anonymous people, would I sing you? Of bustling money-making and hard hearts, and so melt with melody each burgeoning handsome face in studious thought that stops, sullenly attentive. 13th of November, for what? Wind blown and rain driven down Wall Street. Of narrow streets and tall commanding buildings, anonymous people, would I sing you? of bustling money-making and hard hearts, and so melt with melody each burgeoning handsome face in studious thought that stops, sullenly attentive. 13th of November, for what? Wind blown and rain driven down Wall Street. The poem that George has in the book is it's a little odd because it's a parody of Mayakovsky. And so the pitch of the Russian poet Mayakovsky. So the pitch is very high and over the top. I mean, it's like I'm declaiming to a stadium of 1 million people instead of looking into a little screen. It's just very bizarre, the difference. Poem after Mayakovsky. In my heart, there is a horse-drawn carriage that is setting me off like the siren on a fire truck. Oh, winter of New York, how decidedly damp you are. Gloom stalking through your very many mean streets. As only the light from store windows illumines sidewalk newspaper vendors, too flat, two in high heels, 4 feet, stepping in puddles, containing whole universes. I'm not going to do that again. That takes a lot of breath. Okay. These, as I say, wrote about 20, 30 years ago, but I love Ezra Pound's great observation that poetry, news that stays news. You know, I mean, a poem to me is something that is eternal. So this is, I think, was written in about 1978, this one perhaps. I wear my best pressed suit. I wear my best pressed suit. I sure look cute. I take a walk, more like a trot around Central Park, talk to junkies. It gets dark, fair distance back to 12th Street, but I make it. I'm not going to everyone is twice, but I mean, that's the speed. Here's a poem written about the little park around the corner from me where I still visit many, many times. Stuyvesant Park Studies. And the date of this poem is in the poem. Old, anxious, and thin, gray-haired, in white suede hat and white fine coat, dull stockings, to bright afternoon sun, woman closes her eyes and takes off her shoes. A little tough blonde white kid, probably older than the kid, smoking a cigarette and clutching a beer and making his point. Peter Stuyvesant Park. The poor itinerant sleeps. The man in the wheelchair goes round and round. August 30, 1980. How round that date. Couple more. This is a poem I wrote when I was at, for a while I was teaching poetry in New Jersey in the Stevens Institute of Technology across the wall. I would take the PATH train and that would go across there. And I would be pretty sort of self-obsessed. I wasn't paying the fullest of attention. And then I suddenly was. One day at a time, I am granted for gratis a recital in sweet a cappella by Irish janitor on 9th Street PATH station. Full time this morning, deliriously joyous as I pack my Blake and make my way to work. Grant me such mastery of it, the song sung, and naturally as he had it. Ah, sunflower, grant me such expressions that I am so charming, even when troubled, and knowing, or all knowing. One day at a time I'm granted for gratis a recital in sweet a cappella by Irish janitor on 9th Street PATH station. full time this morning, deliriously joyous as I pack my Blake and make my way to work. Grant me such mastery of it, the song sung, and naturally as he had it, ah, sunflower. Grant me expressions that I am so charming, even when troubled, and unknowing or all-knowing. I'll finish with a couple of poems of a New York that was that's more recent. It's very interesting to watch what's happened to the city. I mean, the bitching about gentrifications I've watched over the years. You know, I mean, and now it's completely unrecognizable from the terrain that those poems came out of. But it's still New York City. It's from New York City from the inside. And this is a poem. There was a church across the street from where I live that was knocked down, and a giant condos built on there. This poem's called Transient. Breathe in the belly flop, the church bells ring outside less and less now. Only every other Sunday. Now, not even that. Now, not at all. Silent the steps where sit, twitch, meditate, rocking in your stocking feet, howling, moaning. Breathe in, the bellies flop, the church bells ring outside, less and less now. Only every other Sunday. Now, not even that. Now, not at all. Silent the steps where sit, twitch, meditate, rocking in your stocking feet, howling, moaning. I'll finish with two more recent poems, but they have the same spirit of despair. Wanting, maybe they don't. Wanting to grasp something of joy, given the almost interminable and ever-growing suffering which saps the will and wants to invade everything. Why not a bouquet of flowers soppily blossoming in all directions? Wanting to grasp something of joy, given the almost interminable and ever-growing suffering which saps the will and wants to invade everything. Why not a bouquet of flowers soppily blossoming in all directions? And the last one I read is going to be called Lost. Lost. What can we do now? We can't sing so much. The air so polluted, the black spring coiled, the mattress lumpy, the pillows soiled, the soil too poor, imbecility, infertility. What can we do? Locked without options. Is the key chained to the belt buckle? We've only one key. Where's the backup? Why no answer? What's the excitement? Where did it all go? Are we still allowed to dance on the bones of the old outmoded intelligence? Make terpsichore a lively trot? What can we do now? We can't sing so much. The air so polluted, the black spring coiled, the mattress lumpy, the pillow soiled, the soil too poor, imbecility, infertility. What can we do? Locked, without options. Is the key chained to the belt buckle? We've only one key. Where's the backup? Why no answer? What's the excitement? Where did they all go? Are we still allowed to dance on the bones of the old outmoded intelligence? make terpsichore a lively trot. Thank you very much.
Pettit, it's a privilege and a pleasure to hear you today. Over to you, Thomas Fukulora.
Yes, got a couple of commercials before we go. Next Wednesday for the 10-minute feature, we have ML Leibler, excuse me, and that will be the last of this NYC series. And then Barbara Walters will be back. And then for next Sunday, for this Sunday, the 3rd at the Parkside Lounge, I believe it's Jerry Johnson who's hosting, Gordon Gilbert and Lee Herbert.
I'm sorry, Thomas, I will stop you just for a second, because this Sunday there's no show. A week from Sunday is the program that Jerry is hosting you're talking about. I'm very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know you wanted to hear that from teacher.
Yes, I apologize. I gave you the wrong information. So no show next Sunday, but the Sunday after that. Thank you, David, for the save. That's it for tonight. Simon, would you like to leave us with a final thought, a final something to end the evening?
A final something, my goodness, put me on the spot here. New York City, first of all, congratulations on this book. I just want to give it a little send off into the world there some more. It's an interesting notion of New York as a continuing nexus of poetry, which indeed it is, all the way from Jacob Steendam, who wrote the famous poem in the New Amsterdam, to the most far out amazing poets that are writing as we speak. I'll finish with a poem. It's the only way to properly exit, I guess. I'll finish with this poem, again, from that sort of period of New York that I was reading from, which is to say the sort of the 70s and the 80s, which is indeed a long, long time ago. This is called, I wrote a bunch of poems called admonitions, which was, shaking your finger and telling you how you should behave, which is a pretty pompous thing to do. And this is, but they're self-directed. So this is a poem called Echo, and it concludes this book of poems, selected poems. And it's a kind of a conclusion. That's why I wanted to end there. Echo, 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 echo. Echo, echo. Drink no more from that pool wherein your fat face stares back. What is this pompous self-regard? It is nothing, though it has been continuing lo these many years, and will continue without you, as others will stare at the glasses on the table, at the emptiness of your poor pot. Sit back, breathe deep, and consider the fountain. Drink no more from that pool wherein your fat face stares back. What is this pompous self-regard? It is nothing, though it has been continuing lo these many years, and will continue without you, as others will stare at the glasses on the table, at the emptiness of your poor pot. Sit back, breathe deep, and consider the fountain. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simon. We will end on sit back, breathe deep, consider the fountain. Thank you all. Have a great, safe, and healthy Wednesday.